Hi, I'm Zahra.clark. I head up the Dubai office here at Tiger Recruitment, and today with me is Max.Crumpton, who heads up digital for our Dubai office. Max, how are you seeing the digital market at the moment in Q4?
Yeah, I feel like it's really taken off. Q4 is really kind of pushed forward as companies kind of prepare for Q1 next year. They seem to have really kind of picked up in the aspect of trying to get things sorted and in line, especially from a candidate point of view as well.
How are you finding the market at the moment for candidates? Because obviously we're coming to the end of the year. Are you seeing candidates are still keen to move, or are you seeing that they're holding off?
Yeah, I feel in the tech field, definitely the candidates, there's been a lot of movement in tech realm at the moment in terms of people being laid off. So there's definitely an abundance of candidates out there. And there's a lot of companies that are actually taking advantage of that, especially in Q4 as well.
Are you still seeing candidates being laid off? Because I know that it was sort of happening earlier on in the year and sort of midway through. I know that coming into sort of the last Q3, Q4, that your market has really started to pick up and we've seen it get stronger in terms of confidence within hiring. Are you still seeing layoffs happening?
There's been a few. There's been as kind of restrictions are getting tighter and regulations are coming down more. There's a little bit of movement now. That even might just be candidates being unsettled with current restrictions. But also from a point of view that companies also aren't sure in terms of where they sit because of the regulations. So that also is leading now to candidates being unsure and kind of just seeing what's out there in the market, and also the companies as well doing that. There's a lot of clients that I have are doing that as well, just seeing what's on the market or who's out there and kind of just considering options.
And how are you seeing salaries at the moment? Are you seeing a slight inflation? Or are you seeing a decrease in what clients are paying candidates? I mean, how are you dealing with negotiating salaries on candidates' behalf?
Yeah, it's especially from abroad, from the US to over here, the Middle East. There's definitely a little bit of outlines in terms of what the demands are, but in general, I would say the salaries for the Middle East are in par with the rest of the world.
I mean, I think where we're sitting right now and how we're looking at the market, I have confidence that I think that we've got stability right now, and I see us maintaining this going into 2024. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I definitely think Q1 2024 is going to be definitely big for tech. There's a lot of things that have kind of finished their legal battles, and it's provided a lot more clarity within the area, especially all the startups as well. And the Middle East for startups is huge. There's loads of incentives for companies basing themselves here. It's kind of a win-win situation at the moment, especially comparing to the rest of the world.
Yeah, I mean, your market's slightly different to mine at the moment. Obviously, within executive support, we're seeing lots of roles coming on, but candidates being slightly more cautious about moving, wanting to stay within their positions. So it's interesting, isn't it, how we're actually in the same market but different sectors, and how different it is in terms of how the candidates are behaving. What's your, obviously you're working on a lot of bigger roles at the moment. Are you seeing that's more of a trend at the moment, that more senior roles have become available?
Yeah, the need for excellence is definitely there in terms of candidates who have kind of been there and done that, but also the candidates who are willing to kind of adapt to certain situations and how companies are performing. There's a lot of companies out there at the moment that are wanting to kind of bring a fresh air to their kind of companies, and that's where the balance is coming in.
Well, obviously things are becoming quite exciting at the moment within Saudi Arabia, with things taking off. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, how are you seeing the market from your side of things?
The demand is definitely picking up, but also from a different view, they're taking their time with making the right decisions for the company. They're not going to, especially the clients that we have, they're not jumping into decisions. They are taking more of a cautious approach to hiring, but there are definitely more options out there. With the 2030 vision that they have, it does take time. So then projects are a little bit more slower in terms of hiring, but the demand is definitely picking up.
What would your advice be to a candidate within your remit at the moment. Would you say now is a good time to move, or would you say maybe look in the new year and you feel you'd have more roles? What's your thoughts?
The competition's always very heavy, and to make yourself stand out, you've got to be willing to jump when the time comes. So I would say between now and Q1, definitely be prepared to move, because if the clients come calling and they want to go, they want people in soon. So I would say be prepared to kind of move fast, really.
And in terms of uplift on salaries when candidates are moving, what's the market trend at the moment? Would you say it's a 20%, 25% uplift on their current salaries? I mean, just to give guidance to candidates that may be thinking about moving.
Yeah, I'd say in general 20%. I wouldn't say any higher than that, unless you're being directly headhunted for that position and you're not really considering the move. Generally, I'd say 20%.
Would you have any advice to give candidates at the moment that are seeking new positions and in their approach of when they're applying? Like, for example, we get approached a lot and candidates are applying for roles where they don't necessarily have the correct experience, which is why they aren't suitable for positions. I mean, I always sort of tend to say to candidates to make sure that they read the job description fully before applying, because there could be something in the middle or the end of the job description that they haven't read. And like, for example, they've just seen executive assistant, but they haven't seen, like, maybe it was Arabic speaking, or it required somebody that had experience in taking minutes. Is there any advice that you would give to candidates applying for positions at present?
Yeah, I think definitely for the tech world, you've got to be able to tailor your CV to the requirements. Now, if you've got the experience for that role, make sure that you're tailoring your CV to explain that, because the tech stacks kind of talk for themselves in terms of what you have done, but understanding the experience that you've had with working with certain roles and the correlation that it has between the job and what you're kind of looking to do is the main thing. So being able to get that across in your CV is probably the biggest thing, and maybe not applying for everything.
Also, the other point I want to sort of touch on is we receive a lot of candidates from overseas that want to relocate to Dubai. I personally, from my clients, am not seeing much demand to relocate candidates from overseas. How are you finding the market? I mean, I know that you've made one placement recently where they are relocating a candidate from the US, but are you seeing much of a trend of that at the moment?
I'd actually say the senior positions, so the top level positions, they're more open. Definitely more open to relocating. But the talent in the region is really vast at the moment. There's a lot of people here who can definitely do the job. So for the position slightly below a senior level, I would say that clients are tending to kind of stay in the region.
And are you seeing, like, obviously when I first come to Dubai, there was what we'd call the heyday relocation packages, which were quite substantial. Are you still seeing them with your clients, or not so much?
Not so much. Because the talent is here already, there's a lot of talent here already. Clients generally feel that they can find the right candidate for them in the region. So there's no need for them to kind of have these big abundant packages.
For my advice to candidates at the moment, we're finding that the market is very buoyant. Clients have confidence in hiring. We're seeing lots of new startup companies set up and have quite a lot of headcount. You're seeing that, aren't you, in general, Max? Like businesses setting up. So if you are looking to move, but you're conscious that you're going to receive a bonus shortly, I would look into what opportunities there are on the market, because you don't want to miss something because you've delayed it because you're waiting for your year-end bonus. In terms of stability, I think the market is going to continue to get busy into Q1 next year. As I said, I feel there is a lot of confidence right now in the market, which is great. So I think for both clients and candidates, now is a good time to start hiring. And also come January, everybody has their New Year's resolution. They want a new job, a new challenge. So from a client perspective, it's always great to get in early, to reach out to the top talent and get ahead of the curve, as I say. I think that's all now for Q4, and we look forward to chatting with you again in Q1.